Thank you for coming to the October 7th meeting of the Florida Sewer Commission. Before we get started, we have to read the open meeting law. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Okay, having said all that, Mr. Furlan, will you do the roll call, please?
Yep, President Almeida.
Present.
Member Bernia.
Present.
Member Souza.
Present.
Okay, thank you. Just for the benefit of everybody here, Mr. Furlan, who will be taking the minutes of the meeting?
So Caitlin Gauthier, project specialist in my office.
Very good. Okay, I believe we've been handed the agenda for this particular meeting. And as usual, item number 1 is citizens' input. Mr. Furlan, is anybody here to provide any citizen input?
Is there any citizens' input? So are you here for the stormwater appeals?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a separate agenda item.
Okay, that takes us to item number 2, the minutes of the previous meeting held on June 17, 2020. I believe we were all sent and probably have within our packet the minutes of the previous meeting that was held then. I've gone through it. If any of you commissioners need further time to review it, just say so and we'll take that time. If not, and you feel satisfied the way it was presented, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting held on June 17, 2020.
Make a motion.
Excuse me, Mr. Furlan,
Yes.
in the situation we're in right now, does it require a roll call for every?
Everybody's present at the meeting, so no, it does not
Okay,
require
so
roll
we
call.
can proceed as normal? Okay.
Correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Okay, so be it. Takes us to item number 3, stormwater fee assessment appeals. Oh, we have on our list a Mr. Donald Pelletier, a Miss Charlotte Ledger, and I hope I'm saying that right, Thomas Azevedo, a Tori Adams, and a Paul Barad. Okay. Before each one of you come up and say what you people need to say, we just like you to say your name, your address, where you live, so we have it for the record.
And
It's my understanding that each one of you have been sent a letter from Mr. Furlan specifically stating the reasons why he feels that the stormwater fee that has been assessed to you is valid, and that you are here to appeal this. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So let's go one at a time. Mr. Pelletier, Donald Pelletier, which one of you?
Right here.
Mr. Pelletier, do you want to come down or do you want to speak from
I
there?
can speak from there. My name is Donald Pelletier. I live at 305 Lake Avenue. I've lived there for the last 27 years, but it was my parents' house, so I've been there for over 50-plus years.
Can I just interrupt you for a minute? Just for your benefit, from my perspective, I've gone down and looked at all your properties. And I know where you live, and I know how your house is positioned and where it is and so forth with respect to the waterway that's behind it or near it and so forth. So on that basis there, then you can
Okay.
proceed.
I'd like to know the reason why we are being asked that fee. In particular, because it says it's going into the waterway. Am I correct? It's going into South Potomac Pond.
Right.
I have a question is, how are you gonna tax Tiverton and Westport? They're also contributing to that waterway. You come down Hancock Street, half of Town Lake is in Rhode Island. That water goes down. People on Cherry Hill, that's Rhode Island. That goes into the waterway. The people in Westport, you are not treating the water anywhere. It's still going out the Chan into the bay.
I can understand your point, but we're dealing with the situation of stormwater fees for the residents of Fall River. Fall River, at this point only. What Tiverton elects to do is up to them, what Westport elects to do is up to them. We have an obligation to, I guess you could say, service, man, fix, control any of the downstream gates, control factors that literally affect the South Watapa. We've, in the past, just finished spending over $1 million to upgrade those facilities, gates, and so forth, so that they operate properly. And part of the expense in doing that comes out of the stormwater fee. I can understand your point, you know,
We're right on the line.
well, I realize that, but you're in Fall River.
Yeah, I understand, but I also have a property on Line Road that's directly behind my house, and I'm getting taxed on that too.
Is it in Fall River?
It's in Fall River.
Well,
So now I'm paying two. That water from up top's only going into my land. It's being
and
absorbed by,
your land, which in effect,
So, but-
in your particular case, you're right on the water, are you not?
no, I'm not, I'm across the
You're
street.
across the street, you're the resident that's across the street.
Street, yes.
Okay, I'm familiar with your property. You have stormwater runoff that from your property that ultimately, we feel, ends up going into the South Watapa Pond. And
That's coming from Rhode Island, we live on a hill, so all that water is coming down.
yeah, but it also rains on your property.
Yes, it does.
All right.
I'm not saying it doesn't,
Okay,
but why are we being penalized
Yeah,
for the water coming down from Rhode Island
no sense.
and us paying it? If you want to raise our taxes, raise our taxes. Don't go with these little taxes incentives in between.
We
well,
already raised our taxes.
I'd rather see it in a regular tax so it's fair for everyone,
This-
not
this-
just rain tax.
So stormwater fee and the Stormwater and Sewer Enterprise Fund get no funding from taxes. It's illegal for tax funding to be used for those enterprise funds. So you can't raise taxes to fund the
It is a tax
stormwater.
anyway.
No, it is a fee.
Call it whatever you want, it's still a tax, it's still.
Yeah.
So if
We
you,
still have to
if
pay
you,
for it.
We still have to pay for it, which is not right.
if you'd like, I have a little presentation about the reason of the stormwater fee. So within the stormwater fee definition, there's customers eligible for the stormwater fee. And it lays out anybody that has any runoff that goes to facilities or stormwater systems within the city of Fall River. A stormwater facility is combined as a combined sewer, catch basin, storm drain, drainage pipes, culverts, streams, swales, wetlands, detention ponds, or ponds that have control structures such as dams or gatehouses. So South Watapa Pond flows into the Quikasham River.
Correct.
Quikasham River goes down to the Plymouth Ave Inlet, over on the edge of Plymouth Avenue next to the Bath Supply. Goes into a 96-inch pipe at that point. We did about $150,000 of improvements there about 5 years ago. Goes down to the 4th Street Gatehouse, which that was fully rehabilitated about 5 years ago at the same time under the same contract. That contract was about $600,000. Continues in a pipe from there down to the mill where Workout World is. There was about $4 million worth of work put into the culverts that come out of the back of that mill and also the culverts that go down to Crab Pond. As recently as just before the COVID started in March, we had the sluice gates within that number 7 Ironworks complex rebuilt. We were able to save on that. We had Diamond, a local vocational school, do the majority of the work. Up on the screen shows the flow path flowing all the way from South Watuppa Pond all the way down. Just a couple of things. So infiltration, and went on Wikipedia, pulled up the definition of infiltration. Infiltration is pretty much when the water, when rainwater or any other type of water comes down, goes into the ground. The ground can only take so much water by definition. You know, the grass or anything on a lot can only take so much water. That all depends on how quickly the water comes down, how much water comes down over a certain period of time. So no matter what you do, there's going to be some type of runoff that comes off of the property, whether it's fully vegetated or whether there's additional impervious area, such as houses or driveways or something like that. If it's houses or driveways on it, that's when that infiltration amount is actually decreased even more, and that's where we're able to. That's what the definition of the stormwater fee is when there's disturbed land or impervious surface on a lot, we're able to charge the stormwater fee by definition within City of Fall River ordinance. The City of Fall River ordinance also states that the stormwater fee is eligible for City of Fall River residents within the municipality of Fall River, which is within our jurisdiction. Tiverton, Westport, they're not within our jurisdiction. So that's why we're unable to charge them. They are within the watershed. That is definitely, that is something that is true. But at this time, we're currently not able to charge them because the stormwater fee only says within the jurisdiction, within the municipality of Fall River.
No, go ahead.
No, are you finished with what you want to say? Is there anything else you want to add to it? Do you understand what Mr. Ferlin is saying?
I understand
And
it,
I'm
but
sure,
I don't agree.
and I can understand your mindset is
Yeah,
that
that's true.
you probably feel as though, this is still a tax or whatever and so forth and so on. But just so you understand, this was a change to the ordinance that was made back in 2011. Now, back then, I could say citizens of Fall River were given, those people that were not on it at that time were being told at that time that they were going to be on it. Unfortunately, what happened in this particular case, it took us a little while to get caught up as to which people weren't on it yet, and few people we found out were not, and so we had to take not the opportunity, but we had to take the time to let you know that as a result of the change in the ordinance, and as explained by Mr. Ferlin, you people were now going to be in our system, on our database for that. And look at it this way. It was supposed to have happened in 2011. Here it is, 2020.
Yeah, but at that time too, it was also for if there was a sewer or a catch basin on the road. There's still no catch basin on the road.
So
The only catch basin that's on that road on Lake Avenue is coming down from Rhode Island.
So the original ordinance was implemented in 2008. 2008 is when they, based on the definitions within the ordinance, they said anybody that goes to a catch basin or some type of structure like that. In 2010, the ordinance, 2010 to 2011 timeframe, the ordinance was modified. The ordinance was modified to include streams, swales, ponds, or anything with a control structure that we need to maintain. So if, South Watuppa Pond didn't have all of the investment that we need to do downstream to be able to control the water level of the South Watuppa Pond, that would be a different issue that we'd be talking about. Again, since there's investment in infrastructure that's needed to control that pond level, maintain that pond, and continued investment that needs to be made to upkeep all those structures. That's where this is. Again, originally, there was areas that were exempted, including this area, underneath the ordinance from 2008. When the ordinance was modified, it changed the ordinance.
One other
Go ahead.
question. Why weren't we notified of the difference in the ordinance?
So that,
If we're getting notified now about the change in the ordinance, why weren't we notified back then?
back then, it would have gone through a full public process as well as ordinance committee, which is a public hearing process through the city council. Again, why everybody in the city wasn't notified of it, I can't tell you.
But it did go through the formal process of going through the ordinance committee and approved by the city council.
Correct.
Yeah, maybe there, I don't know if there was ever a notice that could have been out in the Herald News or something stating the effect of the change and so forth, but I guess that's water over the dam in some way, not to quote a pun, but this is where we're at today. So what should have happened to you people down there in 2011 basically is happening 9 years later.
Why not 29 or 39 years later?
Well,
It's only common
well,
sense, you know?
you gotta look at it in the sense that we have obligations to make sure that the things that we need to do to make our systems work properly cost money. And part of the revenues that we need to fix those things and keep them operating properly are some of these things that we're talking about today. And this is, we're not the only community in the Commonwealth that does this. There are a lot of communities out there that does the same thing as we do. And it just so happens we are where we are today. So, Mr. Pelletier, have you got anything else you want to add?
Not at this point.
Okay. We're going to deal with each appeal separately. And I think that's the right protocol to do, right? Mr.
Correct.
Sterling?
Yes.
Okay. Gentlemen, you've heard, the presentations by the resident, and personally myself, I don't think we should approve his appeal. And on that basis there, I'll entertain a motion to disapprove the appeal by Mr. Donald Pelletier of 305 Lake Avenue. Anybody want to make that motion?
Make a motion, has to deny it.
You want a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. That takes us to second person. Before we get going, there's an individual in the back. Yes.
I don't mean to be disruptive, and I know I'm not.
I can't hear you, dear.
I don't mean to be disruptive, but I'm kind of nervous about COVID, and I know you are not really.
First of all, what is your name and your address?
Tori Adams, 142 Lake Ave. But I feel like, you should wear masks.
Were you just over here?
Well, I was there, and then I moved up here.
Oh, okay, well,
I'm just nervous about COVID.
all right, okay, you're down the list yet, so,
Right, so that was something I wanted.
all right, okay. Is it Ms. Charlotte Ledger? Mrs. Charlotte Ledger.
Yeah.
Proceed.
We've lived down there, well, my husband's had the property for over 70 years. We've lived down there for 23 with our house. But I do have a stormwater fee appeal that was approved, and it said the approval will stay in effect indefinitely. In 2008, I have a paper that says that they approved that we didn't have to pay for the stormwater fee, and I have that paper here. It says 2008. And it says indefinitely.
Yeah, I can understand that, but it was due to the change in ordinance, I think that becomes null and void.
When
That
someone
was
says
under,
indefinitely,
that was
it's not-
under a different
What does indefinitely mean? to you?
circumstances, certain circumstance in which the ordinance was put out. If we were still under that ordinance, then yeah, that may hold water. But that's all been changed. We know.
So
That was the
indefinitely is
revised-
not.
No.
Definitely.
No such word.
It's just something that someone can sign, you could sign today indefinitely, and tomorrow they could change it and I'd be charged, right? It does, indefinitely is not, what's the definition of indefinitely then?
I'm sorry,
Indefinitely, what does indefinitely mean? I mean, if I got something here that says 2008, when they said they changed it, and they didn't put it forward to another couple of years, maybe 2011 or something, but we didn't get anything after that. And I know you said we got away with 9 years, but I don't think we really got away with anything, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Because I know that's their way of saying, oh, well, you know, we gotta pay it now, but hey, we gave you, since this time, all this freebies, to make it sound better than what it is, but it really isn't. But I just was wondering with that, I have that. My other question was, if it costs Fall River residents, whatever, $1 million, why can't, is there another area or some other person that's on the board that can actually go and talk to someone in, like Westport, who gets the same benefits as all that we do, but pays nothing? Is there anybody going forward and looking for some kind of assistance from them, since it costs Fall River $1 million? Westport is allowed to have the same thing we have, and it costs them nothing, but it costs Fall River residents $1 million, is what I have so far. So what's the answer to?
South Watuppa Pond, the city of Fall River owns the rights to control that water.
So we could shut Westport off?
So for us to go to Westport and give up part of our rights to control the water on the South Watuppa Pond, if we asked it for their investment, they would ask us to give up some of our control, of our rights to control that pond.
What kind of rights do we have over them? Right now, everything?
Yes, we have deeded rights through the Watuppa Reservoir Corporation that allows us to control the level of South Watuppa Pond.
Okay, so we control the level. So there's no way that we can get anybody into Westport at all to ask them?
So we have asked Westport over the past 3 years to contribute to the recent, well, not recent, it's been long running, but the recent, all the algae in the pond, we've asked them to contribute, as well as Tiverton, since they're within the watershed, to study, to do with the algae within the pond, and that they so far have denied to want to contribute. Again, that's separate from the sewer commission, that's related to the water
Yeah.
board, but that is, we have been talking with both Westport and Tiverton for the past 3 years.
Yeah, because we have been getting the green algae coming in. You can't use the water sometimes. You're actually told you can't even use the pond. And then
So
you have a whole nother side.
there's a swimming advisory in effect.
Right.
There's no ban. There is just an advisory.
And there's advisory too about, you know, a lot of things, even COVID, wear a mask and not wear a mask, you know? So advisory, but I mean, these people are getting the same benefits and they're paying nothing. And all I have to keep saying to everyone is no, no, because they know that we're gonna pick it up in Fall River and pay for it, whatever it is, whether it's to keep the pond clean, whether it's, you know, to spend $1 million to fix it. You know, I think it should go a little bit further. Somebody on commission or something could, you know, at least bring them a little bit further than what they've been brought. They're not doing anything at all on that whole side. It's the same state, but they're not doing anything. And like I said, I have that other letter from 2008, and that's why I wanted to know what indefinitely meant. And so, that's all I have to say right now.
Okay.
I wish that somebody in the future would move on and go after Westport further. And somebody should annotate that they are going in their pond, and the pond is green. And I know you, like you said, that we could go ahead and, you know, go swimming if we want to, but people have gotten sick from it. But we're paying these fees to keep it clean, to keep it, you know, the rise and fall of it. And we did have that flood.
Yeah.
We were there when that flood came in too, so that's a whole nother thing. We have to have that pond, you know, raised and lowered with those things.
But
So we
that's
appreciate that part of it.
That's our responsibility.
Yeah,
And it-
exactly.
And it requires a lot of effort to do things right and to have the equipment that's near to do it in proper condition. So, again, these are things that's expected of us to do.
Okay.
Now, you say that you have a letter from
Yes.
2008
Yes, I do.
that
Signed.
specifically states that it will be,
I'll
I'd like
give
to
it to
see
you.
a copy of that if you don't mind.
Sure.
Again, so just for the board, that was the ordinance that was in place in 2008. That was not the ordinance that was modified 2010, 2011.
Yeah. I think when it says the approval will stay in effect indefinitely, to me indefinitely means until some other time in which it may be necessary to make a change. And that I think, in a legal sense, I don't think that can be interpreted as being something that will be there forever.
I don't,
So anyways, I'm gonna pass this down to Mr. Furlan, just for his record as to what was there in 2008, okay?
If you don't mind, I'll have one of my staff make a photocopy. so
yeah,
we can
and I
have
did
it
send
back.
one to the office when I sent back that that I was gonna be able to go. And I made a copy, but you're more than welcome to take that and make a copy of it.
Okay.
Sure.
If it,
Okay, and I.
if it would've said the approval will stay in effect forever, then I think we'd have a lot of egg on our face. But,
Indefinitely?
indefinitely,
I would like to get the definition of
indefinitely can mean-
indefinitely, I really would.
indefinitely can mean a lot of different things.
I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, but anyway, the other part of it, again, like I said, was that I think that maybe, I don't want to say drop the ball, but why isn't somebody doing something more with Westport? Some kind of why are we not at least trying to push a little bit more on them, put a little more push on them?
Well, maybe we can look at that in another light and see if we can put more pressure on them. Let us dwell on that and see if we can do something about it.
Okay, I'd appreciate it. I'm sure
All right.
anybody that lives in Fall River would appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for your
And
time.
I guess the same thing would hold true on Tiverton, as that gentleman over there says. And thanks for bringing it up, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we have, any of you gentlemen have any other questions?
No, again, I believe that letter was stated based upon, indefinitely based upon that ordinance. So now there's a new ordinance which we have to make a decision about, so. You wouldn't have to go year by year by year to get an abatement for the old ordinance,
Which we.
because that was in place. So.
Do you think that's something that,
I think it was in
that
relation.
something should be part of, in the future, if we have other people, then we need to notify them that they're going on the storm water. Much like Mr. Furlan has done, perhaps you're saying we should include in that letter the fact that, as a result of this ordinance change and so forth and
It's
so
the
on.
decision
that took
based upon
effect on
that.
the 11th,
Yeah.
it superseded what took place and so forth. I think that would be something
Advantageous.
that could be done.
Yeah.
Mr. Furlan, you think you could
Yeah.
look into that?
Yeah, definitely. I'll modify any future letters and run them by the board for their review.
Yeah, it'd probably be helpful for what we need to do in the future.
Yep.
Okay, we need to address Mrs. Ledger's appeal. Again, personally myself, I think we need to disapprove this appeal. So I'll entertain a motion to disappeal Mrs. Ledger's appeal.
Make a motion.
You want to second it?
Second the motion to be.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. Okay. Mr. Azevedo, your name and address, please.
Thomas Azevedo, 330 Lake Avenue. I come in front of you. I hold a Mass Grade 7 wastewater certification, a Rhode Island Grade 4 wastewater operator certification. I'm the project manager of a large advanced industrial municipal wastewater treatment facility with 26 pump stations, and I manage 128 miles of collection system for the sewer and city of East Providence. As part of the treatment facility, it has an RIDEM MS4 stormwater discharge permit, and with that, with an approved stormwater pollution prevention plan. The facility also has an EPA Tier 1 spill prevention control and countermeasures. As a principal manager of this facility, it is my responsibility to manage all environmental permits as well as the permitted MS4 stormwater pollution prevention plan. All stormwater monthly, quarterly inspections and sampling are performed by me. This provides me with knowledge and experience to properly design and manage my own property at 330 Lake Avenue. The roof of my house, the impervious surface, are captured and directed to an on-site on each side of the house, an underground filtration best management practice system. This prevents any roof runoff from entering the South Watuppa Pond. My driveway, the impervious surface, is 18 feet by 54 feet. It slopes toward 125 feet of pervious surface, my lawn. This prevents any surface runoff from entering the South Watuppa Pond. No runoff from the street enters my property, as there's a hump on the driveway that prevents this. It is my understanding that you are taxing or going after the impervious material on properties. That's what, when all this started, and I remember coming to the hearing that one of the churches in Florida, St. Anthony Desert Church, their fee was $7,000 because of their driveway, because of their parking lot and roof. Well, none of my pervious surfaces affect the South Watuppa Pond, and as such, I shouldn't be paying any fees. And you mentioned that, well, this fee is because of the stormwater. It's, as I remember, it was the city's neglect of doing anything with their catch basins and storm drains, that a court order forced the city to spend money to dig that tunnel. And that's when the city implemented the stormwater fee, to maintain that tunnel. And you've continued to add to grab more money to maintain these surfaces. As such, because of what I've done to my property and how I manage my property, it is my opinion that I should not be paying any fees. I do not use any fertilizer, any gasoline for my lawnmower is kept in a shed in a containment structure to prevent any leaking of gasoline going onto the ground or leaching into the pond. I have pictures that show where my stormwater, where the roof leaders go. I have a picture of my driveway and the land going out into the water. As such, I should not be paying any fee.
So are you saying that there is no stormwater that goes on your property that ever hits the South Watuppa?
As I said, it is the impervious surface. Is that correct? Am I correct in understanding that? That's what each property you're looking at. Is that correct?
So the ordinance says that any property that has runoff, that has impervious surface, that has runoff, that goes to a stormwater feature. So
Okay.
it doesn't say the runoff from an impervious surface, it says that has runoff.
Again, how is anything from my roof going into the South Watuppa Pond? How is anything in my driveway going into the South Watuppa Pond? I have 125 feet of lawn, well-manicured lawn, although it's not very green right now because I stopped watering out of the pond. That's how I get nutrients to my grass in my garden. I pump water out of the pond. So again, none of the impervious surface is directed towards the South Watuppa Pond. There's ways for that, my driveway, to be absorbed through my lawn, and the roof leaders of my house go into an underground system. It was when my house was built, it was designed that way, so it would impact that property. My family bought that house in 1954. My family's been there, I've been there 38 years.
So, Chairman,
Mr. Ferlin?
so just a couple of things.
Are you familiar with his property to the extent that he talks about?
I have pictures if you so choose to look at them.
Yep, so I have pictures as well of his property from the street and also from the water, which I can show you on the PowerPoint presentation. The best practice BPMs that he did mention is standard on all houses that are constructed or all projects that are done within the city of Fall River now. So new houses that are constructed are required to have underground infiltration systems. Those underground infiltration systems only take up to a certain amount of water. So they're designed to take up to the inch storm or the inch-and-a-half storm. Anything above that would overflow the system and run over land down to the low point, which here is south of Tupper Pond. Again, in the beginning, when we mentioned the infiltration and infiltration rate in Hoare's equation, which is a very complex equation which shows the infiltration rate that goes into soils, eventually your soils get saturated, and anything above and beyond that will run off, whether it's on grass surface, whether it's on woodland surface. There is runoff from that property.
So you're saying when it rains, it's actually coming out of the ground, which is untrue.
No, I didn't say that. The ground will only absorb so much water to a saturation point. Once that saturation point is reached,
Then it's gonna
everything
move.
else flows over land, sheet flow over land.
Nothing comes out of the ground. Everything that comes off the roof goes into the ground.
So what is
None of it comes anywhere else.
what are those infiltration systems designed for on your property? They're designed for a certain storm, whether it's the 1-inch storm, inch-and-a-half storm. What happens to the rain that occurs above that?
I would have brought the engineer plans for it.
Again, so those are designed to a certain capacity and a certain rain amount. We review them, multiple ones a week of new systems that are being installed throughout the system. There is a capacity to those systems, and there always is an overflow to those systems. Any engineer designs in an overflow to those
There is no
systems.
overflow to my system. What goes in the ground stays in the ground.
So, again,
It stays on the ground, but at some point, there could be a point of saturation where it's gonna move. And can you tell me
Well, you can't.
can you tell me emphatically that that'll never happen?
Well, can you emphatically say that it will? You're not saying it
Well,
will.
yes.
You're making
Yeah.
an assumption that it will.
Yeah, I think in past storms, I think back in 2010, when this city was literally flooded out, I would have to say your property was experiencing some movement of underground water that you feel as though doesn't go anywhere, and was going right into the South Watauga Pond. Now, I hope you can remember back in 2010,
Well, of
this
course I
city,
could.
this city was under a lot of water,
Well,
and
again,
everything was saturated.
if the city had properly maintained the gates,
Well, hey,
it wouldn't
listen.
have happened.
Well, maybe that's the reason why you're working in East Providence to help prevent some of those things. I don't know.
I did start out in the industry at the Fall River wastewater treatment plant. I've been in the industry for over 38 years.
I'm not disputing your credentials or
Well,
what you're
disputing
saying, sir.
what I
Okay?
properly designed for my property.
We have to deal with the situation for your property as we see it. Now, you can argue against it and so forth, you have a right to do that, and that's why we're here. But in the final analysis, it's our responsibility to deal with your appeal. And that's all, and that's what we're going to do here. Your points are well taken. I don't doubt that you've put in a lot of effort and design on what you've done into your property and so forth. But, and I think that's something that, is to your benefit in a lot of ways. But for what we feel as though we know about what happens with the flow of water that goes through people's property, we have to look at it in another light. So I appreciate your comments, and listen, this ain't the first time you've been in front of this board.
Oh, no, you're not,
Right.
and it won't
This
be
is-
the last.
Right, and you're entirely welcome to come and, and participate in anything you want to say, because in some ways, there's a lot of validity to what you talk about, because you are an experienced person in that realm. But we're at the point now where we got to deal with your appeal, and we're going to deal with it with respect to what we know and what we feel happens. Do you have anything else to say, sir?
Not at this time.
Okay.
So I just have a question. Can the proper engineering plans be submitted so that that can be reviewed? And we table this decision?
Well, I guess, maybe I'd ask that question to Mr. Ferland.
So within
Do you
the-
have any records of what this gentleman is talking about that's been submitted to the commission that reflects what he's talking about, or gives it the opportunity to further analyze?
No, I don't have anything about his particular property. The only thing that I do have to add is, under exemptions within the stormwater system, it does not allow a residential property that falls under the 1 ERU to be exempted for any on-site stormwater mitigation that they do.
Ron, does that kind of like satisfy you?
So you've made an exemption, so no matter what anyone does, they have to pay a stormwater fee.
On residential properties.
If they get, if we feel as though there's runoff from their property to some type
So
of...
it's catch-22, no matter what you do, we're gonna take your money. That's what he just said.
That's
Doesn't matter
basically
what
what they're
you,
gonna do.
no matter
Yep.
how well you design your property, we're gonna take your money. You have to pay.
Well, we're not just saying, hey, let's take their money and
Well,
go
he
out
just said-
and have a good time with it. What we're saying is, we need to have you people pay us to do what we need to do to keep the system running.
I clearly understand that.
Okay.
I clearly
All
understand.
right,
it.
so
But if
I
I'm
don't
not
want,
contributing,
I don't want you or the public to get the impression that, we're just grabbing your money for the hell of it, because we're not.
what Mr. Furlan just read, you close the loop on anyone properly designing a system. So when they did the South Coast Market, and if they put in the proper design system for 10 inches of water, you would not allow it. You would still take their money.
Again, as I said, it's residential property that it doesn't allow exemptions for a single ERU. There is limitations on commercial properties within the ordinance. So there are limitations within there, and there are abilities for commercial properties. Again, all the BPMs that you discussed that you have on your property is standard requirement for anything being constructed now within the city of Fall River, unless they can prove a hardship due to soil conditions, ledge, or contamination. Other than that, they have to provide other stormwater mitigation on their property.
And is there a list of those stormwater mitigations? So I don't have to pay this fee.
No, they still have to pay the fee, all of the properties that are being constructed now. It's required, and you should know this through the MS4 permit. Through the MS4 permit that the state of Massachusetts is issued, it's required that properties do stormwater mitigation on their property. So that's what the city of Fall River is doing through the site plan review process, is requiring properties to do stormwater mitigation on their property. That does not exempt them from the stormwater fee.
Okay.
Again,
Mr. Azevedo, like I said, we appreciate your comments. We're at the point now, I think, where we gotta make a decision. So, unless you wanna say anything else, we're gonna go and move in that direction.
No,
Okay.
no matter,
No
matter what
whatever,
you say,
whatever
that's it.
whatever I could try to do to mitigate this, you've developed a loophole that I still would have to pay the stormwater fee.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way.
That's true.
Okay.
It's,
anybody
again,
wanna
I've
make
made
a-
every effort to do something, and it
It's
doesn't
not-
matter.
It's not
Okay.
good enough, you know?
All right, we need to proceed on this thing, okay? For whatever our benefit. All right, fair the points that were made by Mr. Azevedo. I think Mr. Furlan has presented enough information to allow us to proceed with this appeal. Having heard everything, does anybody else have any questions? Paul, Ryan? You? You have
I
anything you want
was
to
just
say?
wondering, when this project, when you started this project, this is my own personal question. When you started this project, when did you start this particular project to do all this alleviation of the water going into the pond area?
My wife and I just passed our 35th anniversary, and it was 35 years ago that I redid my house.
So at
That
35
time-
years
it was
ago,
that time, that's when it was done.
35 years ago, there were no stormwater fees.
I
So you
understand
couldn't
that.
have been doing it to eliminate a stormwater fee charge.
I've been doing that to protect the quality of the South Watuppa Pond that my family has enjoyed its entire life. And I know there is a water ban, a swimming advisory on the South Watuppa Pond. I have never seen that pond as clean as it has. We have I don't know if anyone's ever seen it, but there's an off-spray nest on one of the light towers at the school, at the new charter school. I've seen the nesting eagles fishing in the South Watuppa Pond. I have a picture of it on my pine tree, sitting on my pine tree. There were cranes, swans, and most recently this summer, my granddaughter found some freshwater clams. The fact that those things are thriving tells me the water quality in that South Watuppa Pond is improving. Yes, we get algae. We get algae because
Very
of the hot
little
weather,
algae.
because
Very
what leaches
little
off,
algae just-
what's coming off the runoffs from the farm in Westport, in Tiverton. We understand that's why it's happening. But again, all the residents here are very understanding of that water quality. We do everything we can to protect that water quality.
Okay. All
I'd just
right.
like to.
No,
just-
with respect,
I'd
excuse me.
just like to commend you for the work that you've done, and part of the new regulations for new houses, it's all to help keep that kind of quality taking place, and at the same time, while everyone's sharing the costs to maintain a proper water quality. So I think instead of looking at it as sort of a detriment to you, every new homeowner is having to put in that same kind of investment, and it's really for all of us, for all of our benefit. So, sorry that you would look at this as something negative, but our job is to follow the ordinance and make the decisions based upon that ordinance. So.
Okay. Gentlemen, we have to deal with the appeal. Again, based on what our responsibilities are, what we know to be true. I'll entertain a motion to deny the appeal to Mr. Thomas Azevedo at 330 Lake Avenue. Anybody want to second that motion? Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? None. This takes us to Torrey Adams, 142 Lake Avenue. Could you state your name and your address, please?
Tori Adams, 142 Lake Avenue.
I would request if you could come down a little bit closer so that we can hear you?
Yeah, I do
'Cause
feel
I know
good
we're all-
about the masks, though.
No, I understand, and,
I do very much agree with Mr. Azevedo that there is a lot of birds and wildlife, just saying, it does look, it looks healthy. And there wasn't that much algae this year, even, with the drought or whatever. And I agree with Mrs. Ledger that to put some pressure on Westport, There's might be a way to do that. I do have a question, though. I don't really know, so I'm not tied into the water or the sewer. Now, I understand this is a stormwater fee, but is there, for people who use the water and the sewer, do they pay something that we don't, the ones who are not tied in? I don't know enough about it.
are you saying, say it again, this,
I know this is a stormwater fee. That seems to be
Right,
something specific. But I'm not tied into the water or the sewer. So people who are, do they pay something that we don't? I don't know enough about it.
Yeah,
Pay for that service.
right, so they pay for the water and the sewer based on the amount of water that they use. So they have a meter, so when they tie into water and sewer, they have a meter on the water line, and they pay based on a CCF, so 100 cubic feet for both water and sewer. They pay a base meter fee as well.
So this is separate. The stormwater fee
Right,
is separate.
right.
Stormwater fee has nothing to do with the water or sewer that's in the street.
Okay. Yeah, and
I'm assuming that you have a septic system?
yes.
Okay,
So,
all right, so you you're not charged for storage?
No, right.
Okay.
I wasn't sure how it worked,
Right.
but this is separate. But, and I am thinking of maybe emailing the city councils. I don't know how that works either, but I mean, obviously this is an ordinance and an ordinance is an ordinance. But I don't know if there was any notification about people involved with this. I really feel like asking the city councils about that.
Well, just for my edification to you, if this commission, back in, let's say, 2008, when this whole thing started up, the driving force to having move it forward into an ordinance starts with us. And it goes in front of an ordinance committee that's chosen by, I guess you could say, the chairman of the city council who establishes the ordinance committee. And we make our presentation to them on the basis of there being merit to what we want. And if they feel as though that it's beneficial to everybody in the city and so forth and so on, they'll make a recommendation to approve, have that ordinance. They'll get it worded and have it presented to the city council, in which is to pass various readings. But once it's passed by the city council at that point, it then becomes law to the commission to enact it. I would say, if you go onto the city websites, and if it's being, updated the way it should be, you'll be able to see just what's going to be discussed in ordinance committees for various reasons. And you can probably have a feel as to what goes on.
All right.
So you gotta, in
You gotta stay
effect,
on top of it.
rely on that,
Yeah.
okay?
No.
Now,
I get it.
I guess, unless there's other ways of doing it, but that's just how this whole thing flows,
Mhm.
okay?
Yeah, no, I get you.
All right, now, I take it you're coming here to, in effect, dispute the charge,
Oh, yeah.
okay? And have the same feelings as 3 other people that have come across and so forth. And unless you have anything else to say,
No, that's it.
we appreciate your comments. as you pointed out, we maybe need to make an effort with Westport,
That's an
Tiverton,
excellent
and anybody
idea.
else that is
Yeah.
flowing into the pond. And we'll try and do that to the
Sure.
best we can,
Sure.
knowing that, there's going to be stiff resistance on their part.
All right,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Okay. So now we must deal with the appeal from Ms. Tori Adams of 142 Lake Avenue. Again, I'll entertain a motion to disapprove the appeal. Anybody want to make that motion?
Make a motion to disapprove the 142.
You second? All in favor? Aye. No opposition.
Mr.
All right, is there a Paul Barat here? There must be this gentleman right here who looks like
Can I
he's...
ask a question, please?
Mr. Paul Warad, 122 Lake Avenue, but I also own 132. I get 3 bills because I own 3 pieces of property.
How about 116? You own 116 also?
Yeah, but every time we get a bill, it's on a different address. So whatever address you want to call it, that's part of mine.
Okay.
But I'm getting 3
Are
bills.
they all joined
All together.
They're all joined in
Yeah.
together? Okay.
There should be 116, 112, 122, and 132. That's what it should be.
Yeah, that's what we have here, 116, 122, 132.
112.
And 112?
No, 112, 122, and 132, they're all together.
Okay. So 116 don't exist?
Well, we don't know because we're the first pieces of property after the farmhouse. So it doesn't matter what you change because as long as I don't get a 4th bill, because I get a 4th bill, somebody's going to hear about it more than once.
All right, so let's, but for the records here,
Keep it that
what
way.
should it be?
I think it should be 112 because the next lot is 122 and the third lot is 132. They're all together.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we'll
I
try.
guess if there is a plot on a city database that talks about 116, and you are the owner of 116, Mr. Ferland, I would think that in itself is gonna present some type of billing issue, ain't it?
If there's an individual parcel, yeah. So we can go back and we'll check the assessors database versus our database and with the engineering department to see what the assigned addresses are. But what we had within our database, which was initially cross-referenced with the assessors, was 116, 122, and 132, but we can check and verify that. I believe those are all 3 separate parcels.
Yeah, all
they're-
together.
They're adjacent to each other, but they're 3 separate parcels. And there's structures on each individual parcel. Correct?
Okay, I got
So what have you been billed to right now?
what's that?
What have you been, how many bills have you gotten?
I
for
get
your
3
property?
I get 3 all the time. The
All right,
taxes,
so it's 3,
yeah,
okay, at this point.
even the taxes. Everybody gets 2.5%. I get 7.5%. Give me a break somewhere, you know? The water fee, I get 3 bills.
Well,
My bill is $132. That's gotta be over $500 a year. That's not right. I just retired. I'm gonna have to go back to work to pay for the city? Nope, ain't gonna happen.
I hear you. Okay, I guess we just, Mr. Ferland, we just gotta make sure about what's being billed is proper.
Yes, the address is correct.
Okay.
We'll check.
Mr. Barat, the floor is yours.
I have a problem. East End Sportsman Club, are they getting bills for water runoff?
Yes.
Yeah.
They were implemented at the same time.
Aruta's Lane,
Yes.
your property yard bridles away.
Yes, as well as all the neighbors up there, as well as Captain's Circle.
That's all I wanted to know, because
Oh,
we gotta
yeah.
pay for it all, and nobody else is. It's not right.
I think the last meeting that we had, back in June, we dealt with some of the properties that this gentleman is talking about, am I right?
Correct.
And all those people were denied.
Judge and Green
There's
Leaf Street.
54 groups.
And then, again, it was the same, not contentious arguments, but the same points that you people make, and, you know, we had to deal with it in the same fashion, because there is runoff going into the southwest upper back there. So, you're not alone, sir. I just wanted,
Yeah, but-
you people, you know,
It seems
we're
like
not
we-
just
we
picking
always-
on you.
We always get the stick end of the whole thing. It's not right.
You figure they've been paying, the rest of the city's been paying this for the past 8 years, when you have been not paying it for the past 8 years.
Yeah,
So you're not getting something thrown at you. It's been a known fact, just that it was eliminated for your properties, but the city caught up to the rest of the 54 around the ponds.
the city called up to me 8 years ago when I went down by my taxes. And I says, how come the taxes are so high? He said, can you see the water from your house? I says, yeah.
That's just a speech.
You're paying for watching the water? What's it gonna be next year? Oh, we see the moon up, there's another $1,000 on the taxes? It's gotta stop.
Yeah.
No, it's gotta stop. There's no end to this place.
Well, you know, there is a mechanism that, you know, not to get off the subject, but if you feel strongly about where you are, you can apply for an abatement.
I did, and he refused it.
Well, maybe you can argue your point to
I'm
them,
70 years
like you
old now.
do
Don't I
to
get
us.
any relief from that?
No,
Apparently not, you know?
not even in the 80s.
Not Fall River, anyway.
Nope.
Years ago, they used to.
We're living in a pandemic world, sir.
Altogether different.
It came before the pandemic, I guarantee it.
Okay,
Thank you.
are you done, sir?
Yes, I am.
All right, thank you very much. Your point's well taken. Okay, we now have the appeal of Mr. Barad. I'll entertain a motion to not approve his appeal. Anybody want to make that motion?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor, aye. All opposed, none.
Excuse me,
Is there-
can I ask a question?
Yes.
What is the actual stormwater fee? How often are we charged? What is the fee?
I believe it's $46 a quarter,
46 a quarter.
a quarter.
It was
Yes, ma'am.
44 last quarter,
Right.
now it's 46 this
Yeah,
quarter.
This
it-
one.
it's,
So is it gonna be,
We
I
just-
mean, it's like we just start, so how long is this good for? I mean, that this,
Oh,
I
this
thought a
forever.
quarter,
And-
they divide a quarter, and you
Guaranteed.
paid so much a quarter.
a quarter's
How did
every
the
3
quarter go
months.
up to 46?
Ma'am, and for our billing purposes,
Yeah,
$46 every 3 months.
okay, but the last bill I had was $44.
That was last
That-
year.
Yeah, well, we're now in a new
Fiscal
fiscal
year.
period.
So
The
this
fiscal
one will be
period
for
of-
how long then? When does your fiscal
Every
year
3
start?
months.
July 1
Just like the taxes.
through June 30th
Of
next year.
Okay, so
We
that's
are
your
in
fiscal
the
year.
Fiscal year 21. And yes, once we enter that, the billing periods for that period, any of those
Those
year,
would be divided
it was a
amongst-
$2 increase, which brought it up to 46. Yes, sir.
I got a question, because I wasn't paying these bills because I'm waiting for the hearing.
Yep.
All right, now I got demand notices.
Mm-hmm,
Do I have to pay the interest?
mm-hmm.
I mean, because
Paul.
we were never,
Paul,
before
what
till
is
now.
it, what's the rule that we have on that? I think we made we had discussion on it last time, in the last go-around that we had with people from,
Yeah, so anybody that called or talked to anybody in the office, it's, to me, at least, it's always recommended, I always recommended that they pay their bill even if they were in opposition to it. so that they didn't get penalties or interest. On the bill, it's Massachusetts state law that interest cannot be waived, so we don't have the ability to waive interest. Any of the penalties or the fees that are associated with those, the board could waive those.
Okay, so, what I think Mr. Furlan is saying is, if
You gotta pay the interest.
you have to pay the interest.
State law.
If there, are there any fee, any other fees on there that would be on their bill?
So I believe if they didn't pay the first bill that they received, there is most likely a $5 demand fee that they received.
Okay, I
And the
believe in
board-
the past we've waived those, have we?
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Azevedo's got a question.
Yes, I have a
Hold on,
pass-
for
I
that
have-
gentleman, answer your question. I hope we've answered it.
You're right, so I
You
gotta
have to pay your interest.
Right.
Any fee for like late payment or something can be waived, or will be waived,
Okay.
and then you pay your bill.
If you contact the water department office tomorrow, they can get you an updated bill with the demand fees removed.
Okay.
Because I have, my bill says a past due amount was $54, past interest $1.47, current charge $46. So somewhere the math doesn't make sense.
Again, if
So
the
my
board,
total fee is, so my total amount is $101.47.
again, if the
Well, is
board,
it $54 for use of water?
I don't have water or sewer. It says past due amount, well, it says on this, past due amount $54. Past due interest $1.47, current charge $46, for a
Right.
total amount of $101.47.
Right.
right, so the past due amount would be the interest as well as the demand fee that was applied after 30 days of a bill not being paid, a demand fee is added. That's just what's done with all bills for the city of Fall River.
So 46 and 50, 46 and 5 would have been 51.
Plus
How do I
the,
get 54?
plus the interest, I would imagine.
$1.46
Again,
is,
if you-
$1.47 is the interest?
If this board wishes to waive all the demand fees, I can have, the property owners can contact the water department office tomorrow or at their convenience to get updated bills.
I mean, because the math doesn't make sense. That's my point.
You probably had
Okay.
2 quarters.
You're saying it's the
Yeah, I got two on
fees?
it, two on it.
Yeah, it was,
Well, I
so
understand
the
two
initial,
quarters.
the initial bill, didn't pay the initial bill, so there was a demand fee plus interest, so that's the overdue amount. The interest and the demand fee plus the initial bill is the overdue amount. And then a new issuance of a new bill that was sent out at the end of last month.
Okay, so I would recommend, Mr. Azevedo, you contact the billing department and work it out with them, and do you need an okay from us, commission?
Yeah, if you'd like, you can just vote that anybody that was present here today, if you wish to waive the demand fees, just take a vote on that.
Okay, anybody want to make that motion to,
Make that motion.
Make a second?
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Azevedo,
What
I hope
number?
that solves some of your problems.
What number do we contact? What number would we contact to do this?
It's on the bill, but then I'll give it to you now if you'd like. It's 508
Yep,
324
yep.
2330.
Okay, it's the number on the bill.
Right, and there's a young lady in the back over there, Caitlin, who probably handles some of that stuff as well, so. Okay, do we have a Claude Charest?
That's my late husband.
Okay.
All right, you spoke for Tori Adams,
Yes,
and you're speaking for Claude Charest?
right, he's deceased.
All right, is it the same, is there anything else you want to add for Mr. Charest?
No.
Okay. Okay, there's one here we're gonna deal with too, so. We have one for, Mr. Claude Charest, 142 Lake Avenue.
Yeah, so believe that's Ms. Adams.
So we need to address that appeal.
So that was already done underneath Tori Adams, 142. It's-
Oh, okay.
It's the same property.
Yeah.
All right.
She's just owns the
right.
property now.
All right, so we don't need to deal with it. Okay. All right, that takes us to item number 4. And by the way, thank you, everybody. If
Question?
you'd like to leave now, you can, but if you want to hang around and, you know, something.
Did you get your
Did you
paper back?
Yes, I did, thank you.
I'm sorry, would
Yes.
you like to say something else, ma'am?
No, I'm all set. They
Okay.
wanted the paper so they could have a copy, and they got a copy of it, and then the lady came down and gave me back my original.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't, I
I'm
didn't
good.
get a copy, that's why.
Mr. Furlong.
Yes,
We
thank
got
you.
it.
They
I
got a
sent-
copy
I
too.
sent it.
Okay, all right.
Okay. All right, that takes us to item number 4, open meeting law complaint.
Make a motion, we pass.
Well, not for rain, but I was swimming it up until 2 weeks ago.
Excuse me, sir, we're doing some business now. If you like, you can meet afterwards.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4 was the open meeting law complaint. I guess that refers to our meeting that was held on June 17th of this past year. The complaint talks about all the different issues that this particular person felt was a mess. Something of this nature, Mr. Furlong, don't we normally refer this to the Corporation Council?
Either that or this board could refer it to me, and I'll respond to the open meeting law complaint. That's that would be a reasonable, rather than the Corporation Council. So I have drafted a response to this. I don't believe, based on his assumptions, I don't believe that we're in violation. There is 2 separate open meeting law complaints. The second one is from the same person, just saying that we didn't respond to his first one within a proper amount of time, which was correct. We did ask for an extension, but we didn't hold a board meeting within that time frame to be able to respond.
Part of this was due to the pandemic, wasn't it?
Yeah, correct. You know, with the pandemic, we've been holding limited board meetings on an as-needed basis, so.
Okay, so, again, you're responding, and this is going to who? Is it going to Mr. Dias?
Yes, this will be,
Copy to the Attorney General
correct,
and to our Corporation Council?
correct.
All right, okay. Is this, normally though, isn't the Corporation Council one that wants to respond?
The city council has corporation council respond. Other boards usually have the administrator or the director of their board typically respond.
All right, so we do have legal recourse to respond. It's not without our Corporation Council.
Yes, we have the ability, the board could respond directly, or they could,
Okay.
or they could
All
have
right, that's
have
fine.
me respond.
That's fine. I got no
Or
problem with it,
anybody.
as long as that we got the right to do it.
Yes.
Okay. And is your responses, have they been sent out?
They have not been sent out. I need the board's approval to be able to
All right.
send them
Okay.
out.
On that basis there, I'll entertain a motion to approve the responses that are being presented by Mr. Furlan for the 2 open meeting complaints that were presented by Mr. Dias. Anybody want to make that motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, that deals with that, right? Okay, that takes us to the wastewater treatment, item number 5, project number 1, change order number 2 for West Construction. Now, from what I can remember seeing on the agenda that was sent to us, this is a pretty big change order. We're looking at a change order of what, $381,230? Is
Yes,
that correct?
that is correct.
And you feel comfortable, Mr. Furlan, that this is correct?
Yes,
That there
so
is there is a need for this?
without a doubt, if you'd like, I can explain a little bit
Okay,
what's
please
involved.
do.
So This change order was developed originally, the underground piping that was supposed to be for the PSA building, which is where we house our compressors for the PSA system, was supposed to go up the roadway in front of the PSA building. Once we got out there and started excavating, we knew there was a lot of pipes in the grounds, but once we started excavating, we realized that the 36-inch that was supposed to be a little bit deeper wasn't as deep as it was that it was shown on prior plans. The 18-inch that was above it and the other conduit duct that was above that was a little bit lower, and we excavated the whole area and wasn't able to find the space. So what we ended up having to do was come out a different spot out of our new switching house down at the wastewater treatment plant and run this duct bank up to the PSA building, the side of the PSA building, and then we're going to run the pipes up the side of the PSA building, all the way across the roof of the PSA building, and then drop back down into the electric room. That was the only way to get across there. One of the things when we looked at this design, we looked at a couple of alternate designs, but it's very tight between our secondary clarifiers on one side, and that's where we could not find a corridor to send this duct bank. As you can see, it's an extremely large duct bank with many conduits in it. Goes from our main switch housing into where some of our main breakers are for the plant. On the other side, we have our reactors, so it wasn't an option to run it down there. So the only option really we had was to go up to the side of the building and run it up and across the roof. Once we got up there and we looked at the roof was 20-plus years old. For a rubber roof that's extremely good. In the harsh conditions down by the water, it was showing its age. So to take that infrastructure and put it on top of a 20-plus-year-old roof that was for sure to have some future issues, as well as sealing up some penetrations, putting new penetrations, trying to marry all that together just wasn't feasible. So at that point, we opted to put a new roof on that building as well. Something that was needed, wasn't scheduled during this phase of construction down at the plant, but something that was needed. Just under about half of this change order was that roof. So the two things that are in here, this amount is in here. There's some plumbing work that's going to be done. That plumbing work, we did not agree with the plumber's numbers or estimates. So as per the contract, we had the ability to tell them to move forward on a T&M basis, which will very closely track their time. And we feel it'll be significantly under their estimate that they provided for this change order. So we expect actually this change order to be less than what the amount that the board's going to approve.
What was the original contract for?
So the original contract is for $18,965,600.
All right.
Yeah.
And this is the first change order since having started the project, right?
This is change order number 2. There was another change order prior to this in the amount of $268,000.
Just looking at that photo,
Yes.
just for my own edification, that's all conduit there, right?
Yeah. So that's
The
all.
wiring's going to go through it. Is the wiring already through it?
No, it's not. So the steel cage that you see around it is the rebar. The red stuff that you see off to the bottom of the picture and the top of the picture on top of the conduit is the concrete that encases it.
All right. Okay. Just a question. I was wondering if the wiring's already through it and you're covering it over and so forth.
Question? Is this rigid conduit or PVC?
This is all PVC.
Okay, thank you.
The underground is PVC.
Okay. I guess these are the things that happen when you open up a can of worms.
Yeah.
And I think, something tells me this ain't the only one that's going to happen.
No, so far, knock on wood, we're about 3/4 of the way through the contract down there. There has been some differing conditions in the contract. The contractor has been great to work through. with those. That's why you've only seen, the minimum amount of changes that we have so far.
Okay. Ron, you got any questions? Richard?
Yep, all set.
Okay. Well, then, anybody want to entertain a motion to approve change order number 2?
Make a motion, we change,
To the amount of $381,230.01.
I make a motion, we accept change order number 2 as stated. Total dollar value will be $19,615,057.24.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. All opposed, none. All right, takes us to item number 6, a President Avenue Pump Station Change Order 1, which appears to be a net result of 0.
Yes.
I got a question with respect to the project. It says I read somewhere in the literature that was sent over the email, and here it is right here. The extended completion date is August 1st, 2020. Is there a problem going down there, Paul? I go by there at times and something's being done and then nothing's being done.
Yeah.
What's going on?
There's no particular problems. The contractor has, through the COVID that has been going on, to get into a small, tight station, the contractor has had to spread out some of his subcontractors on the site, so you couldn't have as many people working in a tight space at one time. And we've worked with the contractor. I know they do have a time extension submitted to us. That's under review by us. We haven't approved it or denied it at this time. But they have submitted for a time extension, a lot to do with the COVID. The contractor has been moving along. We are expecting.
What are they looking for in terms of an extension?
So they're looking for November 1 to be 100% complete.
Really?
So
Okay.
And they're close. The pump station now is online. It's been operating. They just took they're just taking the old pump station fully offline, and they're supposed to start the end of this week the demo work of the existing pump station. After that, within the next week or so, we'll start to see the prep for the paving work out there. So everything's operational, everything's been functioning. They've completed all their bypass work and their heavy site work.
So the old pump station's offline?
Yes.
Okay, everything's now flowing to the new equipment?
Yep.
And it's doing its thing and so forth, okay.
Yeah.
So it needs to be buttoned up, closed up, made it look like it doesn't exist, and
Correct.
go from there.
Yes.
All right, okay,
I do have to say the property owners over there have been very cooperative too, as well, working with us, working in the middle of their plaza with the disruption that they've had, but the property owners and the business owners there have been excellent to assist us.
Very good. So, they presented approximately $26,000 of change order, but it's being negated out by a credit.
Yes, correct. So there was multiple items to the change order. Some of them were owner requested, a couple extra valves, and the access control system, a modification to that, Knox box that wasn't in the original spec.
All right, anybody have any questions about this? None? Rich?
Nope.
Okay, so we still need to approve the change order, correct?
Yes.
Okay, anybody want to make a motion to approve change order number 1?
Make a motion.
Second motion?
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, gentlemen. Opposed? None. We gotta get through all the literature on this stuff. Okay, item number 7, change order number 3 for the CN Corporation for the Hyacinth Street.
So currently, that paperwork wasn't able to be pulled together prior to the meeting.
Okay.
So just if the board would like, no action will be taken at that, and you'll see it at a
Okay,
future
do
meeting.
we
No.
need a motion?
No action. no.
Okay, no action at this point in time.
Yep.
Okay, that takes us to item number 8. Change order with KR Resendez on the William S. Canning Boulevard Drainage Project. So what are we looking at in the amount, the total amount here
4,000.
of the change order is what?
$4,190.63.
Does this end it, you think?
It's all set.
Yeah, so this gets very close for the sewer division. The project is still ongoing. Engineering, they're working still south of Newton Street. So from Newton Street, South Coast Marketplace, the contractor just started back up last week to do that section of work. That's fully funded by other funding sources, not from the Sewer Enterprise Fund. This change order is in relation to an additional 24-inch pipe that we requested them to add, heading to the north, from Tucker Street, heading to the north, just so if, from Tucker Street north, if in the future road repair is done, there would be a separated pipe there that would be able to flow out. But to date, the infiltration is all done, the paving's all done from Newton Street to Tucker Street. The system so far in the rainstorms that we've had has functioned very well. I was out there, it was probably 4 or 5 weeks ago now, when we had an extreme downpour on a Saturday, and the system was functioning very well.
Good. That's good. Now, this was also done in conjunction with, what, the water department also?
This was done in conjunction with engineering. Mass Works grant provided funding for the roadway paving, the sidewalks, and all of that.
Yeah.
We got involved once the city got the Mass Works grant. We got involved with the larger sewer, partial separation and infiltration, because, you know, this area, as you can see on the board in front of Anthony Street, that's a flooding area for us. So this will address that problem. Phase 1 of this construction. Phase 2 takes the pipe, a separated pipe, all the way down Tucker Street to Laurel Street, head south on Laurel Street, then eventually a new outfall to Cook Pond. We're going to go through Phase 1, finish that up, evaluate it, and see whether Phase 2 needs to be constructed or not at this time. I've been working with Olga from my office, straightening out, making sure that all the financials are together for both our side and also the engineering department. Olga's been through those, the Mass Works funding, and we're just, as I said, we're assisting the city engineering department with moving forward in the Phase 2 of that, the Newton Street south of that project.
Okay, but you're anticipating this project is still ongoing, and we could be still seeing some change orders?
I don't expect any for the sewer commission, no.
Okay, so you might think this is the last one. Okay.
Question. They have backhoes from the entrance, what's going on from the entrance, South Coast Plaza, whatever it is, heading up towards the marijuana facility? What's that equipment there for now?
So heading south, so that's the other area that they need to do. And again, this is all part of the Mass Works project, the project that was started out in the engineering department. They're going to be doing, so as you come from the Tiverton line heading north, there'll be a new slip ramp, they call it, so a turn off into South Coast Marketplace from the roadway, so you won't have to go up to the signalized intersection and take a right anymore. There'll be a separate slip ramp to get you off into the parking lot of South Coast Marketplace that was coordinated with South Coast Marketplace. The left-hand turn lane for Newton Street, the length of that turn lane has been extended because a lot of times the cars stack up in there and then they go out into the high-speed travel lane, so that turn lane has been extended. There's some other improvements of widening in lanes and stuff like that Mass DOT required. through the Mass DOT permitting process. So that area, we expect to be under construction from now. The contractor is expected to pave out and be complete the week before Thanksgiving.
No, well,
Um,
that'd be great.
The road construction that was taking place through all of that, did that include replacement of gas lines that's taking place through the city?
So the gas, again, the engineering department was the one that coordinated with all different utilities in the beginning. From my understanding, in this area, there was no major gas lines. There was one that came from one of the side streets out, but most of the buildings were fed from gas lines either on Laurel Street or the back sides of their property, and they weren't out in this roadway. So, any project that either we do, water or sewer, that engineering does. We have DCM, Department of Community Maintenance, who oversees engineering. Engineering falls underneath them. We actually have monthly meetings with Liberty Utilities now to coordinate between all of our utilities. You'll see now the water department is on President Avenue, the hill section of President Avenue. We're replacing the water main. The gas company, right when we're complete, in about 3 to 4 weeks, gas company is going to be in there doing their main replacement, and then we're working, both of us are going to work with engineering to complete that project. A lot of times, people say, well, how come sewer's not more involved, replacing the sewers? And as this commission knows, replacement of a sewer is a lot different than a gas main or a water main. Gas main is roughly 2 feet down. Water main is 5 feet down. Sewer mains are anywhere from 8 to 16 feet below grade. A lot more invasive, a lot more intrusive, but a lot more protected too from any of the weight of what's up on the roadway above.
Good. Well, okay, I was just wondering if it had been included in that portion, and I'm glad to hear it was, because it would be a crime for them to come back and tear it up and put in. By the way, we forgot to change the gas lines. All right, so we have a
Motion.
change order for the amount of $4,190.63. Anybody want to make the motion to approve that?
Make a motion, we accept the change order for
Anybody
4,000.
second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Change.
No
change.
opposition. Okay, that takes us to item number 9, contract updates.
So within your contract update booklet, there was an update for contract 1 down at the wastewater treatment plant. What?
There's one for contract 1, and then the next one that's
Yeah,
President
President Ave, yeah.
It's in the packets.
Yep. Slide, so, contract 1 down at the wastewater treatment plant, you just approved one of the change orders. There are some other minimal modifications that we're still working through for potential change orders on the project. Up on the screen, you'll see that's the new control building that was installed down at the wastewater treatment plant. So our control room is now our boiler room in the dewatering building. So all the control room was moved into this area, as well as area.
So what's
for
at the
staff.
front of the building is out. It's gone? It's been relocated there?
Yeah, what was in the front of the building, so now there's 3 boilers where the old console used to be.
Really?
Yeah, there's 3 boilers.
That's cool. I
in
gotta
there.
get down there and see what's going on.
Yep, so that's moved into there. This is just, again, a picture of some of the large electrical duct banks that had to be run through this facility. The amount of pipes and size of duct banks that we were dealing with on this project was pretty large. And as you can think, down at this facility, we have gravity sewer pipes, we have forced sewer mains, we have reactivated sludge pipes, waste-activated sludge pipes, sludge that gets loaded onto trailers. There's, underneath the ground is a plethora of utilities that we had to navigate through. We've been doing good so far. This is a picture of like the PSA building that we were doing before. This is actually an asbestos removal that they're doing, so all the tan panels on the top of our buildings are asbestos. So within the contract, there was a cost anywhere where we had to bring a pipe through those panels. Those panels had to be removed because we were moving, if the number of cores that we had to do, if it was over a certain square foot, the panel needed to be removed. So coming up next is just gonna be a quick little video. With double clicks on that, the video should pop up. And this is a time-lapse video. We may not get the videos, but I had time-lapse video of, yeah, if you go out into the jump drive, you should be able to see the time-lapse video of President Ave. And also,
Okay, so, here you go now.
still working with the technology here. But that's okay. But that's pretty much the contract updates. South End Pump Station is underway and doing very well as well. That contractor is moving right along. Building foundation is in. They just poured the floor. And they'll be starting some of the excavation for the deep wet wells coming up.
Okay, so we're at the point of, this was strictly for information. You don't need any motions for us, correct?
Correct.
Okay, any other business? Anybody have anything else? Ron? Richard?
I
If
have
not,
a question.
go ahead. You got anything you want to say?
Are we gonna have a periodic walkthrough down at the sewage treatment plant? Seeing that we have a lot of new equipment going in, we can see?
Yes, if any of the commissioners would like to walk through at any time, feel free to contact myself.
Well, we don't wanna interrupt you. If it was scheduled ahead of time, that way you can allocate a certain time.
Yeah. No, so if we want to set up a regular schedule, that's fine, or if you want to do it where you call me ahead of time, we can pre-schedule something, that's perfectly fine as well. I'm down there a couple times a week, usually early morning or late in the afternoon, so I'd be more than happy for any of the commissioners to walk with me as I walk through the project.
Tuesday and
just-
Thursday, I'm stuck in the morning, but in the afternoon it'd be okay, after lunch, no problem,
Okay.
anytime.
The point I wanted to make, though, was if all three of us were to make, let's say, an appointment to go down there, and you walk us through and everything else, that has to be considered a bona fide sewer commission meeting, I would think.
Well, it's not a violation of the open meeting law as long as there's no deliberation or no vote. So as long as the members are there and there's no discussion of ongoing, so as long as we walk through and we didn't, if it was informational and I was pointing out things to the commissioners and the commissioners didn't deliberate on a certain item or vote on a certain item, it wouldn't be considered a violation of the
Okay,
open meeting law.
because I was under the impression from Mr. Sullivan that, if that did happen, where the three of us or whatever, it may be considered.
It gets into dicey
Yeah,
waters,
and,
so
So I just want to bring that out, and, but if you feel strongly that's okay, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
But if any of you wanted to do it on your own and go down there and have,
Yep,
have
the
a
plant,
look-see, I would
plant
recommend
manager
it.
or the resident engineer is on site all the time as well, and they'd be more than happy to walk with you.
Very good. Any other business? If
No.
not, obtain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, commissioners.